Welcome back to the Key Points here on TV3 and 3FM. So Parliament is back with a bang, and they've been quite busy doing some work already in 1 week. They'll be looking at a number of bills like the Affirmative Action Bill, Property Rights of Spouses Bills, the Small Scale Mining Bill, and that's also an attempt to create jobs. There'll also be some amendments to some bills like the Special Prosecutors Bill, which I'm learning is to make an amendment to allow for dual citizens to also have an opportunity in that role if they are so qualified. And we're also learning that the citizens bill will also be looked at again because of the whole debate and advocacy about dual citizenship. So it's going to be a busy session over the next 9 weeks. But of course, the big one is the promotion of proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values bill, which many thought Parliament was going to deal with like on their first day. Well, we know that that didn't happen, and there's still some way to go to do that. But just yesterday, Parliament issued marching orders to the General Legal Counsel and also to the Ghana School of Law. Let's hear a bit of that debate yesterday.
Where you should have obtained 50% in each section, and that if, for instance, you got a higher mark in section B and a lesser mark in section A, although if it's added, you get more than 50, to them you don't qualify. Mr. Speaker, this, I humbly contend, is repugnant. Students are frustrated. Students are traumatized. This is not a matter of closing in. If you say 50% is the pass mark, so be it. Just as politicians, when we get it wrong, they tell us. We are telling Ghana Law School that they continuously frustrating students. They are making the study of law unattractive.
You run open, transparent system. And if you recall our studies on the rule of law, the thing about rule of law is predictability and openness of the law. It must be predictable. This is not a predictable rule, and we should not endorse it, and it cannot stand. And the law school should not be allowed to get away with it this time. I recall when they brought their legislation here, I stood for the law school. I defended the law school against all sorts of attacks. But when they are wrong, I will also point it out that they are wrong. And we must not allow their wrongdoing to stand. We must reverse it. All those who pass must be given the opportunity so that if they want to make new rules next year, they should make them, and they should let all the students who are going to write the exams know those new rules.
I therefore move that this House resolve to direct Ghana Law School, and for that matter, the General Legal Counsel, to offer admission forthwith to all those who obtain the minimum pass mark in this 2021-2022 academic year, to enable them pursue their professional law program. Mr. Speaker, so move.
All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All against the motion, say no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. The Ghana General Legal Counsel is hereby directed to proceed and admit all the students who pass in accordance with the advertised rules of the examination. Thank you.
Well, and that was the motion adopted. I still have our two guests in the studio, Superintendent Honorable Peter Tobu. We also have Alfred Thompson with us. But joining us via Zoom is Professor H.K. Prempeh, Executive Director of CDD Ghana. Not an easy man to get, so glad to have him this morning. Good morning, Prof, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. And I'm pleased to be here.
All right. So this motion Parliament has adopted, is that good news, and is it something that can be practicably carried out? Because I'm not sure if Parliament can direct, Parliament, a statutory body, whether they can direct another statutory body, which is the GLC.
Is that question directed to me?
Yes, sir. It's for you.
Oh, okay. No, I definitely think this is, it's actually really, I am delighted personally to see Parliament really weigh in on this matter. This is really, it's been a long running battle. And I think that it's good to have the political class weigh in this way. Parliament operates it makes its decisions in a number of ways. It can enact, it can pass a bill, which if signed, becomes an act of Parliament. It also does operate oftentimes by resolution. Some resolutions are binding, some are non-binding. This is one resolution in the latter category. It's non-binding, but it does, I think, to really just, it does register Parliament's collective disapproval of the way and manner in which a statutory body, the GLC, has been handling this matter of access to legal education or professional legal education in Ghana. And I think it's in the right order. I would think, though, that if Parliament can actually master the numbers in this way, to really send this signal to the GLC. The GLC is a statutory body, which means it's established by an act of Parliament. It's been many years since that act was passed, I think going back to the 60s. I would welcome another look at that act. It is Parliament's own act. They can therefore also move beyond just passing a non-binding resolution to actually amend the act. These days, they have the right to initiate private members' bills. Okay. I would think that this would be a very good candidate for such a bill. So they should actually move beyond what we would say mere words and put some bite behind their words. They could actually take another look at the Legal Profession Act or whichever act the GLC is established under, and basically make the necessary amendments to that act, or enact a whole new law to regulate the legal profession and access to legal education in Ghana. So I think it's a good first step, non-binding, but still welcome.
All right. Honorable Tobu, the operative word used by the Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh is non-binding. Some will question on what law would Parliament be acting under, and if this is not binding, then the GLC will not adhere. The Ghana School of Law will not adhere. They will not admit these 499 students because the president had already said there's no space. By going to do that, it may then make the president look like he didn't know what he was talking about.
Thank you very much. Yesterday was quite an exciting day for me in Parliament. And I want to salute the Deputy Majority Leader, Honorable Alexander Afenyo-Markins, for that bold step that he took, and we all rallied behind him. Bold step because the President made a statement that had poured cold water on the agitation by these young people, 499 of them who wanted to become professional lawyers. He poured cold water on the issue when he said the school doesn't have room to admit them. They don't have space.
But isn't it fair that he is honest?
I was surprised because this is the president who brought the green and yellow track into the senior high school because there was no space. So from that background of innovation, I expected him to he should be able to think about what can I do to get these 499 students on board, because they have passed. What is important is that they have passed. Honorable Afenyo-Markins made a simple statement. Why should we be even calling Ghana Legal Council to sit with them? No. They had an advert that said, if you get 50%, you pass. So we are just telling them, please, you can't change the game plan, you can't change the rules when the game is over. You said 50%, they've made the 50%, they have passed, please, you have to admit them. And what is interesting was the fact that, when the Speaker finally directed, there was a second phase to this. The Attorney General, who is a member of the Ghana Legal Council, is actually responsible to Parliament. Parliament is playing its oversight role. So the Speaker actually directed the Attorney General to see to it that the motion that was carried in Parliament is actually respected by the Ghana Legal Council. If he doesn't, for him being the Minister of Justice, Parliament has the right to invite him before the House to explain to us why they violated the directive from Parliament.
I know that he could be censured.
Oh, yes. So that is why we connected it to that aspect. And the Attorney General is the one who is now carrying the baby, running with it, and we are expecting results. Why are we saying this? This is a simple matter. You conducted exams, and before the exam, you place an advert and say, come and write. If you get 50%, you pass. And people wrote the exam and passed. And you are coming to say, no, if, you know, these sectors must be, you should get a particular mark in the particular sector, and this. That was not part of the advert. So we don't enact retrospective rules. The law that is enacted today should be the law that will be effective today going forward. You can't enact a law today and expect that it should take effect from yesterday.
Okay, so certainly the GLC has been a bit untidy, and the School of Law has been a bit untidy about how it's gone about this. But the question remains, apart from the options you talk about, the AG being asked to ensure that this is adhered to, there's no guarantee they will. A year ago, there was a court ruling that directed the GLC and the School of Law to, you know, make the amendments or provide guidelines for these examinations and other amendments. It's not been done. A year down the line, we're still talking about it. No one has called anyone at the GLC to order. It's headed by the Chief Justice. How will the AG do that when he's going to face the GLC, face the Chief Justice in court one or other time?
Eva, we are talking about 275 members of Parliament representing the 30 million Ghanaians. And we make a resounding statement. That statement was made with that unison. There was no partisanship in the matter. The 275 MP says, this is wrong. Please go back and respect your own rules that were set before the exams. Simplicity. If the General Legal Council thinks that the sovereignty of the people can just be rubbished and they can do what they want, let's wait and see. We'll get there and cross the bridge when it is time. But I believe that the Attorney General, knowing what role Parliament can play in his position as Minister of Justice, will do the needful.
Okay. Mr. Thompson, I'll come back to you, but let me quiz Professor Kwesi Prempeh on this. This is non-binding. Yes, the Attorney General can go to the GLC and direct that, you know, they look at the rules again and all that. But there's a view that the Attorney General may not want to do that. He's a member of the GLC together with others, including the Director of the School of Law. And at the end of the day, it is headed by the Chief Justice. No one wants to be in such an uncomfortable position, you think?
Well, I mean, the Attorney General is not just an ordinary member of the GLC. I mean, the GLC is actually, as a statutory, but even though it's headed by the Chief Justice, it is really a body under the Attorney General, in a sense. You know, and I think that the Attorney General can definitely, I mean, there's no reason why in that forum, the Chief Justice, it's not a judicial forum. The Chief Justice is not the boss of the Attorney General in that respect, right? So the Attorney General who oversees that aspect of you know, the legal profession in that respect, I mean, I think he should be able to actually bring his good offices to bear on this matter. This is a policy matter, right? It's a statutory body, which means that it's established by an act of Parliament and can be disestablished, can be reformed, can be changed, can be amended, all kinds of ways, right? And it would be the Attorney General, not the Chief Justice, who would bring a bill to Parliament. If it was necessary to amend anything about the GLC, it would fall within the authority of the Attorney General to bring the appropriate bill, if it is a government bill as opposed to a private member's bill. So the Attorney General has awesome powers when it comes to the GLC and should not feel in any way subordinate to the Chief Justice or cowed by the Chief Justice, you know, to just submit to the will of the GLC and the way it's operating. If the Attorney General wants the membership of the GLC changed to be headed by somebody else other than the Chief Justice, for example, the Attorney General could actually bring the appropriate bill to do that. So this is Attorney General has really very awesome powers in this regard, and I think that it is long overdue. I mean, really, the establishment of this body Professor Sari, others who have looked at this issue, when you read Jeffrey Bing's memoir, who was the first Attorney General of the Republic, when you read his memoir, it tells you the history, how we came by this Macaulay scheme and all of that. It is really long overdue. We need to look at this whole arrangement again and reform it, drastically reform legal education in Ghana. The way we're doing it is just not fit for purpose. And it falls within the remit of the Attorney General to initiate the necessary steps to get that done. Otherwise, I think members of Parliament, one member, 2, 3, it appears there's a bipartisan coalition or consensus around this issue. They should be able to initiate a private members bill to get this matter resolved.
In terms of the 499 students, there's already a case in court being pursued by 143 students. Coming to this decision, Parliament, isn't it sub judice?
Oh, no, I mean, Parliament should not be subject to those kinds of rules. I mean, Parliament can't discuss any matter. I know that Parliament has somehow tried to say that, when there's a matter before court, there is nothing in the Constitution that stops Parliament from discussing any matter of policy or public interest, right? Before court, not before court, they can discuss it. As a matter of judgment, they might say, okay, we probably sometimes, they don't want to make a decision about something that's before court. That's their own internal arrangements or rules that they've decided to be bound by. But this is an urgent matter, and I think that it is totally appropriate, quite appropriate for Parliament to weigh in this way. I think we also have to recall that the GLC has been acting a bit wayward in terms of its respect for law. As you mentioned in the introduction, there's been a decision, a past decision of the court that the GLC has essentially just decided not to be bound by. And this sends very, very wrong signals. I mean, this is the body that regulates the legal profession, right? So this is the rule of lawyers. I keep saying rule of lawyers without a rule of law. You can't have that. You can't be sending these signals that we will not respect judicial orders or judicial decisions when you are actually sitting on top of the legal profession and presumably administering justice according to law and all of that. So the GLC needs to set a very good example, and it is not setting that example. And I think Parliament is entirely within its realm. Nothing stops Parliament that I know. Nothing. There's nothing in any law, in any constitution, nothing that stops Parliament from doing what it did. I mean, some will say, well, it's not binding, but it does send a signal. It shows that when it passed unanimously, it does show that there is political consensus behind this issue, and also that this has gotten the attention of the legislators. And I think it's actually a very good signal. I would hope that they would move beyond that so that people don't think, this is just mere rhetoric. Move beyond that and begin to actually either bring in the Attorney General to answer some questions about this matter, or initiate steps by a private members bill to change the way in which the legal profession is ordered and run in this country.
And Mr. Thompson, so there are two, positions here. Mm-hmm. The 143 who are in court, the case was adjourned on Friday, coincidentally, the same day that Parliament was looking at this. And there's a start date for school. So it means that they are not even sure if they're going to start school. That case has been adjourned. Parliament has, agreed to this motion unanimously. And I like the way Honorable Tobu says they all got behind the deputy majority leader to support this. Yes, Honorable Afenyo-Makin to support this. But then the president now says, well, there's no space for 499 people. And it doesn't look like the Attorney General may be willing to, put this forward that admits these young people. What's the reading in government about how this is going?
How do you know the Attorney General is not willing?
I said he may not be, I'm not sure.
It doesn't look.
It doesn't look like. So I want to be proven
So I
wrong.
want to show how you feel or you see that it doesn't look that way. It's, you see, the president has spoken the truth. There's no space.
But they
And that is
admitted
why-
over 1,000
that is
people
why-
in 2020. So it begs the question why they can't do the same in 2021.
That is why he has initiated of building a new Makola, ultra modern Makola to
The law-
take in
the law
the
school
the law
village.
village to take in more students.
I understand that
So
project should
I
have been
understand-
completed by now to accommodate the teeming numbers. And I pass there regularly.
I don't think it's
Nothing
started.
much
I think
has
it's
been
still on
happening
the
there.
board. They are still working on it. You see, he cannot come and tell, and if you've studied the president, he's not the type of person who gives orders to institutions to do what they have to do. Behind the doors or behind everything, he will be having a tete-a-tete, George, trying to solve problems and seeing how best the law school can do or will put things in place to maybe accommodate them. But on the surface, he has to tell the students the truth that yes, there is no space. That's what they stated. The people said there's no space, but it will be worked.
But I question that. But that's why I question that. I question that because they admitted over 1,000 people in
I'm coming.
2020.
I'm coming. I'm
Or is
glad
it
that-
because it's not an election year?
I'm glad that this consensus was raised by the majority,
The deputy majority
leader in parliament, Honorable Afenyomakin. So you see that even within our government, we bring or we buy into discerning views, bring it together and see how best we can govern this country and make sure that things are put in the right place. And my brother and his whole team, the 275 MPs, all supported the idea. Ghanaians are also fighting for the same thing. That listen, there's too much brouhaha with this Makola or the law
admissions.
school, the admissions. Every year, year upon year, we have these same issues coming up. And I think the General Legal Council should really take a second look at it and see that at the end of the day, we are doing a lot of disservice to the legal team in this country because we only have about 4,000 or so, as I heard.
Yes, the
lawyers
last
in
time
this country.
the last time the outgoing president of the GBA spoke at their congress,
Yeah.
he said there are
And
just about 4,000 of
4,000
them.
plus. And
I'm
we
sure
need
there are
a
more,
lot
but it's
more
about who is practicing and
about who is registered with
them as well. Yes.
So we need a lot more lawyers out there to help. You know, the legal aid and everything. We need them to come on board. So where people want to practice, and some even go to, it's not everyone who goes to the Makula that comes out as
wanting to be a litigator.
A litigator, or some go into corporate law.
Yes.
They do all these things. So they need to come together and decide that, listen, GLC needs to take a bold decision and say that, listen, once and for all, let's stop this brouhaha over all these legal things that, or the law, Makola law that you are talking about. If we need to even pick a facility to build this law village, let's do it and get this, unless they have a strategic way of trying to take people out, which I think is very unfair. It's just a similar situation with the
Security
military
services
security situation that is going on.
recruitment.
You see, let us stop behaving in a way that is not helping our people. Every 10 years when we do this census, our situation is rising.
The population
population
increases.
is growing. 5 million. The last time was, I think, about 25
So
or so
we've
million.
seen an
grown about
increase
5
of more
million
than 6 million people in
within
the last 10 years. Yes.
So why are we trying to now? This is where we need to plan. We need,
But that's
we
not
need
that's not the
leadership.
issue. The
No,
issue
we need
is there appetite by the General Legal Council, the School of Law, to undertake the required reforms. There doesn't seem to be
That's
that.
what
That
I'm
is
saying,
why
that we
people
need
like
the leadership.
Professor Asare, who is based in the US, popularly known as Kwikwaza, they've been campaigning for many years about how the General Legal Council has been operating. And I think this time, because the raw scores were released and all that, everything has, it's almost as if they've had to fall on their sword, but yet
see,
they are not adhering.
God works in mysterious ways. He made them release the raw scores and everything. It's God's own way of bringing things out. And you
it came under RTI.
And you realize that most of our students leave to Gabon or so Gambia. They go and study and they come back and they do so well there. So you ask yourself, what is wrong with us? Why can't someone take the bold decision? And this is for the Chief Justice. I mean, he will make a credible mark by deciding and saying that, listen, I and the team that I'm working with on the GLC, I think he's the chair of the GLC.
Yes.
Let us take this bold decision and see whether we have to, as my brother said, we have to run shifts or whether we have to do something to help these people, because we are growing and you need more people. As much as we need more policing and more this, we need more legal people to also fight our cases for us, because as a group population we need to plan for the next 10, 20, 30 years. And if you are limiting people now and it gets to that time and now there's a mad rush that people should now go to the law school, you are now forcing people to go to the law school, what happens? We can train people and let them even go outside and practice. We had, I think, Justice Minsampunso also. She was in Liberia for some time.
Well, we used to supply justices to Kenya and Gambia for a long
other
time.
countries. Yes. And it's worked well for us. And it sells the country. It's a way of marketing the country. So why can't we also train people and move them out? Let them go and sell the country for us. Because that is how you can only promote your country. And people will love to come to Ghana and see what is happening here. I implore the Chief Justice, kudos to Parliament, but I implore the Chief Justice to take this as a mantle, that if even he's not leaving any mark at all, this should be something he's leaving behind. That he, under his jurisdiction, he was the one who championed and made sure that more people are being taken on the legal profession or system, and making sure that they are opening the place up for other people to be trained. It will help all of us.
Honorable Tobu, so yes, the Attorney General could be called or summoned to answer questions. He could be censured. But why would we want to adopt such a, should I say, fighting approach?
Well, we are not confrontational. Parliament is not confrontational. And just as the Professor said, Parliament is a master of its own rules, right? The General Legal Council is an establishment of law, an act of Parliament. And we have an oversight. There's a reason why Parliament is in the middle between the executive and the judiciary, the four arms of the state, the four organs of the state. Parliament is actually in the middle to ensure checks and balances. So if we pass a law and you use that law to come out with an advert and you set a rule for a game, when you finish playing the game, you don't go changing the rules after the game is over. So we are just telling them, please do what you said you would do and do it right. We didn't need to even invite them. And because the Attorney General, who is accountable to Parliament, is a member of the General Legal Council, we are directing him, please ensure that this unanimous decision by Parliament is enforced. Look, we have the lawyer population ratio in Ghana is about 1:7,500. And initially, it was not possible to even do LLB in any university. That is why I say change is the only constant. When you fight it, you are only wasting your time. Today, we have some universities doing LLB. Gradually, we are coming to a time where some universities will be licensed to do the professional law courses. And all these things, monopolization, even in economics, is a bad thing. If you allow monopoly to write in your system, you reduce quality. And gradually, people become too powerful that sometimes they think that they're even more than the law. The law is simple. General Legal Council. The reality is that Ghana needs more lawyers. Do you know that in some jurisdictions, even district assemblies need to have lawyers? Today, Ghana Police Service is playing a role according to what is provided in Article 88 that is supposed to be the main responsibility of the Attorney General, prosecutions. Police responsibility is to enforce the law and investigate. Getting into prosecution is not the area for police. And I'm praying that the time is going to come that every police officer who is into prosecution is brought back to do proper policing, and let the Attorney General take responsibility for what the Constitution says he should do in Article 88. If you are recruiting more lawyers, it is appropriate for every district to have a state attorney. Sometimes some things happen within district levels, and the police will need some immediate legal counseling to be able to act. And there is no lawyer there. Gradually, the case goes on to court and realize that probably the police were a bit unprofessional, they had gone through certain things that were probably illegal because they lacked the counseling at that level. Is it possible for us to have 261 state attorneys in all the 261 MMDAs? Is it too much to ask? And we sit and we say, we will not open up. We don't need more lawyers. This is not the court. We are talking about serving Ghana. Let them open up and let us have more lawyers. It is not every lawyer who will be practicing. Some people just want to do the law for their own benefit. It's not every lawyer that you are going to find in court. So let's open up and allow the law to work and allow people to go to school. Allow people who want to become lawyers to become lawyers. Those who want to become doctors should become doctors. And gradually, we are developing this country better.
Someone joked that there might be some MPs among the 499. That's why Parliament passed the motion unanimously.
I mean, the person may not be wrong because MPs are still learning.
Yeah.
Right? MPs are still learning. They're in Parliament and they're still finding a way to better themselves so that they can become more useful to their constituents and to Ghana. So it would not be wrong or surprising to find a few MPs who are part of the 499. But that notwithstanding, the principle is that the Ghana Legal Council, the General Legal Council, was wrong in changing the rules after the game.
So they should admit the fault. Final point on this for you, Professor Kwesi Prempeh. Some have said that, well, the president has been honest by saying that we can't have the additional admissions because there's simply no space. I've seen a document where the director of the School of Law indicated that these students are eligible to apply for the next academic year and all that. To the extent that you're not sure if they'll be fully admitted. We don't know what the outcome of the legal action could be. Do we ask the young people to, put it on parking for now and wait till next year?
No, I don't think that's an appropriate remedy. I mean, the issue really, the space argument really comes in only if you insist that there must be a monopoly, that Makola or the Ghana School of Law must have a monopoly of professional legal education or, in Ghana. I mean, if you actually do not take that view, then of course the space argument completely becomes vacuous. It just disappears. And I think that is the appropriate way to look at it. There is really no reason why, in this day and age, we should use space limitations as an argument or as a reason to bar access to any form of education at all. So I think that argument is really shouldn't be used in this instance at all. I mean, we should confront the real issue. The root of the problem is a monopoly. And as the Honorable Member of Parliament and the other guests have both indicated, I mean, there's really no reason to maintain that monopoly at this point. Right? I have just this week, two of my very good friends got admitted to the New York Bar, Ghanaians. One of them is practices law here, and he's a Ghanaian. He didn't have to go to apply to take the New York Bar. You don't have to go and sit somewhere in class, wear a white shirt, a black suit, black socks. Have an attendance record kept every day, be intimidated by lecturers in and out. You just have to have the appropriate law degree, which is the LLB, and then you just have to sign up for the bar. The bar exam is scheduled particular periods of the year. You take it, you pass, that's fine. How you studied for the bar is your own problem. You can study. You can go to some schools offer courses to prepare you for the bar exam. You can do it at home. You can buy the books. You can do online. There are all manner of ways to prepare for the bar exam after you've gotten your law degree. But this idea that we must create another school, we must essentially break the legal education into two. Let the faculty teach one. Let the so-called law school teach another set of courses that you must attend. pay money through your nose to attend, and then before you get to take the exam to be admitted to the bar, it is archaic. We should just not be doing this. And I don't understand what the fear is. Something in it appears that the only thing in the 60s that we were very eager to change was the Preventive Detention Act. Everything we do in this place, especially in the legal profession, appears to be going all the way back to the 1960s. Even the laws we implement in this country, many of them go back to the 1960s or to the era of military rule. So much hasn't changed, but so much needs to change in this place. And I think this holding on to old things just for sheer habit, there is really nothing, no serious public policy justification for maintaining this bifurcated structure of legal education with a monopoly held by Makola at this point. But we hold on to it. We hold on to it because of what? Habit. What do we fear? I don't understand. If you look around Accra, you might think, oh, there are a lot of lawyers. There are actually not that many lawyers in this country. No. I mean, the ratio, the Honorable Member of Parliament gave us the ratio. It is not that many. But even just beyond the numbers is the geographic distribution of the lawyers.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of them are disproportionately in Accra. And so much of the country is unlawyered. If you need help, legal help in some part of the country, you're going to have a hard time finding one. And yet, the law is supposed to apply everywhere. The Constitution applies everywhere. People need legal advice, need legal help everywhere to resolve disputes. And when you don't have access to the law to resolve disputes, what do? You take the law into your own hands. You have vigilantism, you have people, resolving disputes their own way because they don't have any legal advice to follow. So we must look at this issue as really a big national policy issue and stop doing these kinds of, this is about space or this is about double track and all of those things. It's not the ultimate solution to the problem. The problem is we have a system that is not fit for purpose in the 21st century. We must reform it. We must radically change the way we do legal education in this country. And I think, the time is long past.
All right. And let's take some messages on this, and then we'll still deal with some issues relating to Parliament. Degura writes, the current Attorney General seems more interested in prosecuting former appointees and litigating. He must be showing a bit more fairness and justice. This one from Henry says, Jifa, what's the GLC doing? Schools need to be innovative. Do we need everybody to be seating in class? People are using Zoom to conduct lectures. Others are going in the evening, some in the afternoon. Why can't the GLC do same? And those were some of your messages on that subject. Thank you very much.